Kurdish conference on the ISIS crisis has concluded in Sulaymaniyah, with political and military leaders from northern East Syria urging more international support for the autonomous region. The conference took place in the neighboring Kurdistan region of Iraq, rather than Nes itself, underscoring the need for international engagement with the ISIS issue. Nurshan Hassan, the Nes rep to the TRI, highlighted the urgent nature of the ISIS crisis, saying that the recent events in Sina's prison constituted a global threat. Hundreds were killed, including scores of civilians, as ISIS staged a major uprising at the detention facility home to thousands of ISIS members. An unknown but significant number of ISIS members were also allowed to escape. Addressing the conference, Syrian Democratic Forces Commander Sozdar Deriki said, "We must be very clear here that if the ISIS attack on Sinas had succeeded, it would have been nothing less than the beginning of ISIS, second caliphate of Daesh. That's why we demand an international tribunal to bring ISIS perpetrators to justice. ISIS is an international organization, and we therefore need an international solution." Bedran Ciyakur, a senior advisor to the Autonomous Administration of North and East Syria, highlighted 5 key demands to the international community. On the military and security front, he called for stronger military support to the SDF, the armed group which lead the struggle on the ground against ISIS in Syria, in partnership with the US-led international coalition to defeat ISIS. He also repeated demands for an international tribunal to be established to deal with the tens of thousands of former ISIS members still being held by the Nes, as well as an international effort to target the financiers and supporters of ISIS. On the political and civilian side, he called for international recognition for the autonomous status of Nes, as well as an end to the embargo imposed upon the region and the introduction of additional economic support. "We must openly talk about not only ISIS but those who openly support them," he said. "Among those that help ISIS both directly and indirectly is Turkey, and we can prove this. Their goal is nothing but the military, political and economic occupation of Rojava and many other regions." The event, with the official name of the Conference on the Struggle Against ISIS and the Fate of ISIS Prisoners, was organized by the Autonomous Administration of North and East Syria, along with the Support Front of Rojava, whose name refers to the Kurdish majority region around which the NES project was established. However, politicians from the Kurdish region of Iraq's Patriotic Union of Kurdistan Party also participated, along with other regional figures. These included leaders from the Autonomous Administration of the Yazidi homeland of Shengal, as well as representatives of Kurdish minorities and the Mahmoud refugee camp. Farideh Khalef, a representative of the Yazidi society in Shengal, noted that over 1,500 Yazidi women have been liberated to date by the SDF, but that thousands more remain in captivity. The Syrian Democratic Council has held a working conference in Manbij, one of the region's largest Arab cities, under the title, "For a Political Transition Towards a Joint Political Vision." The workshop aimed to find political solutions to enable the SDC's vision of democratic, decentralized and pluralistic Syria to develop on the ground in the local region, representatives said. The SDC is the main representative and diplomatic body for North and East Syria, and works to establish a democratic and pluralistic consensus across the whole of Syria. Representatives of local political parties, including the Syria's Future Party, participated in the discussions. Participants noted that the SDCs could achieve more of its local goals and meet people's demands, as well as succeeding in raising NES cause internationally, both coming into opposition with local political actors and parties. As such, local political actors and the SDC agreed to work together to seek to establish relations in the interest of all Syrian people. Over 22,000 people in Tall Temir, North and East Syria, have added their voices to a global campaign calling for the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK, to be removed from international terror lists. It marks a major demonstration of support from the multi-ethnic city, where Kurds, Arabs, and both Syriac and Assyrian Christians live together in the front line of the Turkish-occupied regions of Nes. In a statement, the local Democratic Union Party said, "In the name of the Kurdish, Arab, and Assyrian residents of Tall Temir, we will continue until the PKK is removed from the terror list. We call upon the EU and US and UK to remove us from the terror list in the name of peace, democracy, and human rights. Turkey benefits from the PKK being de facto including on terror lists across the West, though no European court has ever found that the PKK should be included on the domestic terror list. It is only Turkey, the USA, and the EU which consider the PKK to be a terror organization. As such, there are ongoing calls for the international community to reconsider its current de facto listing of the PKK as a terrorist organization. Critics say that PKK is only included on terror lists at Turkey's behest, to stifle legitimate debate or any attempt toward the resolution of the crisis in Turkey. Outreach efforts are expected to continue in Nes and elsewhere as campaigners aim to collect millions of signatures across the globe. Farmers in the Arab regions of Raqqa, Tabqa, and Deir-Ez-Zor have called for support from the autonomous administration of north and east Syria. Agricultural workers in the regions, previously some of the most fertile in Syria, say they need fertilizers and fuel to combat harsh conditions and Turkish attempts to impact the agricultural sphere in Nis. The most important step is the provision of high-quality fertilizer, local farmers said. But this is a challenge due to the partial economic embargo imposed upon the region by neighboring states. We call upon the AANES and relevant parties to help farmers get access to good quality fuel and seeds at reasonable prices so that we can produce high-quality produce, said Tabqa farmer Ahmed Al-Juda. Other farmers highlighted the need for a resolution to the water crisis in the region, primarily driven by Turkish policy, along with increasing desertification. Lack of rainfall has been compounded by both ISIS' campaign of burning wheat fields and other agricultural land across the region, and Turkey's use of water resources as a weapon of war against Nes. Turkey has both seized control of the key water station at Taluk, which it uses to control and systematically sever the flow of water to hundreds of thousands of local residents and farmers, and intentionally reduced the water flow into the Euphrates River. Due to the lack of rain, we do not have any hope for irrigation of our crops, and we hope the AANES will support this, said Aisha Al-Tirki, a Raqqa's resident. The AANES is only providing farmers with 15 of the 30 kilograms of fertilizer per hectare of crops they need to effectively grow their produce, Mr. Al-Tirki added.
الري ديروا أول موسم شي شهر ولحتى الآن اليوم ما بيري اليوم ب1/3 احنا يعني راح
A football tournament has been organized in northern East Syria, Deir-Ez-Zor, ahead of a wider competition taking place across the region. 24 teams from across the region, which suffered particularly heavy under ISIS occupation, are competing in the ongoing tournament. Following the tournament's conclusion on 3 April of this year, it is hoped that local teams will be ready to compete in an upcoming competition organized across the entirety of NES. Deir-Ez-Zor is one of the 7 regions which together make up the autonomous administration of northern East Syria and the major Arab population center. Those trying to re-establish the fabric of civil society and rebuild the region's services and infrastructure face particular challenges. As the last region of Syria to be liberated from ISIS, Deir-Ez-Zor suffered massive damage to its infrastructure, while the region is still plagued by a violent ISIS insurgency despite the terror group's March 2019 defeat as a territorial force. The inaugural match on 27 February resulted in a draw between the teams of Abu Hammam and Shuhail, 2 local towns.